Right now, as you're watching this video, I guarantee at least half of you have already checked your phone notifications at least once. And here's the thing that's going to shock you. That simple action just proved my point about something most people refuse to admit about themselves. You're probably addicted to social media validation, and you don't even know it. I'm about to share 7 psychological signs that reveal whether you've fallen into the validation trap that's secretly controlling millions of people's daily behavior. And stick around because number 6 is going to completely change how you think about your relationship with your phone forever. But first, let me tell you something that might make you uncomfortable. The average person checks their phone 154 times per day. That's every 6 minutes they're awake. And here's what's really disturbing. Most people have no idea they're doing it. It's become so automatic, so ingrained in our behavior, that we've lost conscious control over our own attention. Now you might be thinking, well, that's everyone else, not me. I'm in control of my phone usage. But here's the thing, that's exactly what someone with a validation addiction would say. The first sign of any addiction is denial that there's a problem in the first place. So let's dive into these 7 signs and see how many hit a little too close to home. Sign number 1. You refresh your notifications obsessively, even when you know nothing new will be there. This is your brain literally acting like a gambling addict at a slot machine. Every time you pull down to refresh, your brain releases a tiny hit of dopamine in anticipation of that next like, comment, or follow. The scary part? Even when you consciously know there won't be any new notifications, you still can't stop yourself from checking. Dr. Anna Lemke, who studies addiction at Stanford, calls this dopamine dysregulation. Your brain has become so accustomed to these micro-rewards that it craves them constantly. You're essentially training your brain to need external validation just to feel normal. The psychological term for this is intermittent reinforcement, and it's the same mechanism that makes gambling so addictive. You never know when the next reward is coming, so your brain stays in a constant state of anticipation. That's why you find yourself reaching for your phone even in inappropriate moments, during conversations, in the bathroom, the second you wake up. If you've ever felt anxious when your phone battery dies, or you lose internet connection, that's withdrawal. Your brain is literally going through chemical withdrawal from the absence of potential validation. Sign number 2. Your mood directly correlates with your engagement metrics. This one's brutal because it reveals how much power you've given strangers over your emotional state. If a post doesn't perform well, you feel genuinely disappointed. If something goes viral, you're on cloud 9. But here's what's terrifying. You're essentially letting algorithms and random people on the internet control your happiness. I've seen people have genuine panic attacks because they lost followers overnight. I've watched someone's entire day get ruined because a post they spent hours crafting got only 12 likes instead of their usual 50. This isn't normal behavior. This is addiction behavior. The psychology behind this is called external locus of control. Instead of deriving self-worth from internal sources like personal growth, relationships, or accomplishments, you're measuring your value through metrics that have absolutely nothing to do with who you are as a person. But here's the part that'll really mess with your head. Those metrics aren't even real indicators of anything meaningful. The algorithm decides who sees your content based on hundreds of factors you can't control. Someone could ignore your amazing post simply because they were distracted, tired, or the timing was off. Yet your brain interprets low engagement as personal rejection. Sign number 3. You curate your life experiences specifically for social media content. This is where things get really dark. When you start living your life through the lens of how it will look online, you've stopped actually living your life. You're performing your existence for an audience instead of experiencing it for yourself. I know people who choose restaurants based on how Instagrammable they are, who go to events they don't enjoy because they'll make good content, who fake happiness in photos while feeling miserable inside. This is what psychologists call performative living, when your actual experience becomes secondary to how you can present that experience to others. The most disturbing part? Many people can't even enjoy a beautiful sunset, a delicious meal, or a fun moment with friends without immediately thinking about how to capture it for social media. They've trained their brains to evaluate every experience through the filter of online presentation. This creates something called experiential avoidance. You're so focused on documenting the moment that you're actually avoiding fully experiencing it. You're trading authentic living for curated performance, and your brain doesn't know the difference anymore. Sign number 4. You feel genuine anxiety when you can't post or check social media. This is clinical anxiety triggered by the absence of social media access. If you've ever felt stressed, irritated, or genuinely worried when your internet goes out or your phone dies, you're experiencing what researchers call nomophobia, the fear of being without mobile phone contact. But it goes deeper than just missing your phone. The anxiety comes from being cut off from your validation source. It's like a drug addict who can't access their substance of choice. Your brain has become dependent on the constant stream of potential social feedback. The psychological mechanism here is called negative reinforcement. You've learned that checking social media relieves the anxiety of not knowing what you might be missing. So every time you feel that anxiety, you reach for your phone to make it stop. This creates a cycle where the tool that's supposed to connect you to others actually makes you more anxious when it's not available. Some people literally cannot sleep without checking their phone one final time. They wake up in the middle of the night and immediately reach for it. This isn't connectivity, this is dependency. Sign number 5. You compare your behind-the-scenes reality to everyone else's highlight reel constantly. This is psychological torture that you're voluntarily inflicting on yourself every single day. You're comparing your unfiltered, unedited, messy, real life to other people's carefully curated, edited, and presented best moments. It's like comparing your rough draft to everyone else's published novel. The damage this does to your self-esteem is profound and measurable. Studies show that people who spend more time on social media report higher levels of depression, anxiety, and feelings of inadequacy. You're literally training your brain to feel insufficient by constantly exposing yourself to unrealistic standards. Here's what's really insidious. You know intellectually that people only post their best moments, but your emotional brain doesn't care about logic. When you see someone's vacation photos while you're dealing with work stress, your brain still processes that as, their life is better than mine. The psychological term for this is compare and despair. Your brain is wired to make social comparisons for survival reasons, but social media has hijacked this natural tendency and turned it against you. You're comparing yourself to hundreds of people daily instead of the small social group your brain evolved to handle. Sign number 6. You've started measuring your self-worth through follower count and engagement rates. This is the sign that reveals you've completely outsourced your self-esteem to strangers on the internet. When your sense of personal value fluctuates based on numbers that have nothing to do with your character, intelligence, kindness, or actual accomplishments, you've entered dangerous psychological territory. I've watched people with incredible talents, loving families, and successful careers feel worthless because they can't grow their online following. They've confused online metrics with actual worth, and it's destroying their ability to appreciate their real-life value. The psychology behind this is called contingent self-worth. Your self-esteem becomes dependent on external validation rather than internal sources. This makes you incredibly vulnerable to manipulation and emotional instability because your value as a person becomes tied to things completely outside your control. But here's the part that'll really blow your mind. Follower count has absolutely no correlation with happiness, success, or life satisfaction. Some of the most miserable people I know have huge online followings, and some of the happiest people I know barely use social media at all. Sign number 7. You experience physical withdrawal symptoms when you try to take social media breaks. This is where we enter full addiction territory. If you've ever tried to take a day off from social media and experienced restlessness, irritability, difficulty concentrating, or genuine distress, you're experiencing withdrawal symptoms similar to those seen in substance addiction. Your brain has become chemically dependent on the dopamine hits from social media interaction. When that source is removed, your brain literally doesn't know how to regulate its mood and attention naturally anymore. This is why so many people fail when they try to take social media breaks. They're fighting actual neurochemical dependency. The most telling sign? You make deals with yourself about just checking quickly, or only for 5 minutes, and then find yourself scrolling for hours. That's not lack of willpower. That's addiction overriding your conscious decision-making. Research shows that heavy social media users have brain changes similar to those seen in gambling addicts and substance abusers. The areas responsible for impulse control and decision-making show decreased activity, while the reward centers become hyperactive. You've literally rewired your brain for addiction. Now here's what you need to understand. Recognizing these signs isn't about shaming yourself or swearing off social media forever. It's about regaining conscious control over something that's been unconsciously controlling you. The first step is awareness. Just acknowledging that you might have an unhealthy relationship with social media validation is huge progress. Most people never get to this point because they're too deep in denial to see the problem. The second step is setting intentional boundaries. This doesn't mean going cold turkey. That usually backfires. Instead, it means making conscious choices about when, how, and why you engage with social media. Try this experiment. For the next 24 hours, notice every time you reach for your phone. Don't try to stop yourself, just notice. You'll be shocked at how automatic and frequent this behavior has become. Awareness is the first step toward change. The third step is rebuilding your internal validation system. Start recognizing and celebrating accomplishments, moments of growth, and positive experiences that have nothing to do with online recognition. Your brain needs to remember how to feel good about things without external confirmation. Remember, you are not your follower count. You are not your engagement rate. You are not the sum of your social media metrics. You're a complex, valuable human being whose worth exists completely independent of online validation. The fact that you watched this entire video suggests you're ready to examine your relationship with social media honestly. That takes courage, and it's the first step toward freedom. So here's my challenge for you. Pick one of these 7 signs that resonated most strongly with you and commit to changing that specific behavior for the next week. Don't try to fix everything at once. Just focus on one pattern and see how it feels to break it. Drop a comment and let me know which sign hit closest to home for you. And if you found this helpful, share it with someone who might need to hear this message. Sometimes the people we care about can't see their own validation addiction, but they might be able to hear it from a trusted friend. Subscribe if you want more content about the psychology behind our digital behaviors and how to reclaim control over your mental health in the age of social media. Your future self will thank you for taking this first step toward digital wellness. The question isn't whether social media affects your brain. It's whether you're going to let it control your brain or whether you're going to take that control back. The choice is yours, but you have to make it consciously and intentionally. What will you choose?